This meeting is being recorded.
Time being 7 o'clock, I'd like to call the Franklin Conservation Committee meeting to order for November 14th. This Conservation Commission meeting is only available to be attended via the Zoom platform. In an effort to ensure citizen engagement and comply with open meeting law regulations, citizens will be able to dial into the meeting using the provided phone number. Or citizens can participate by copying the link attached to the agenda. Call the phone number 929-205-6099, and the meeting number is 991-7164-0664. If you're having trouble accessing through the link, please call the number on your phone and use *6 to toggle between the mute and unmute, and *9 to raise your hand. This meeting will be held completely remote, with all participants needing to use the methods stated above to attend. A public hearing with request continued marked beside it indicates that the applicant requested a continuance prior to the meeting. So we'll start out with the public hearings. The first one would be 15 Liberty Way. Rika, do you have any?
We want to do a roll call?
Good idea. Sorry, I have that written down even. Richard?
I'm here.
Louis?
Here.
Louis, who's muted?
Here.
Thank you. Nicole?
Here.
Michael?
Here.
Roger? And I believe Jeff and Mark are both absent tonight. First public hearing is for 15 Liberty Way. Is anyone in attendance for this, or Bricolai? Do you have an update?
Yep. So late this afternoon, they did request a continuance. We're still waiting for a completed beta review at the planning board. Next planning board meeting is on Monday. So I would recommend a continuance per the applicant request.
Can I have a motion to continue?
Yeah, I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 15 Liberty Way to December 12th at 7:01 p.m.
Second?
I vote to continue.
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 And Roger votes to continue. Next NOI would be for Louise Drive. Is anyone from Louise Drive in attendance?
I am Tom Schutz from Goddard Consulting here on behalf of the applicant at Louise Drive.
Yeah. Should I give an update from you first, or?
It's okay. It's whatever you prefer, but why don't the applicant has provided a peer review response. So why don't since we haven't heard that yet, why don't we get that response? And then I know Beta is still working through that response. A lot of responses here, but they are online and they can provide a response back.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just kind of run through comments and changes at a really high level. Nothing, we won't go too detailed because Beta is going through that second round of peer review comments, and I expect them to send that back relatively soon. But the first thing I wanted to note is that we did receive a DEP file number for this. That is 159-1300. For the first round of peer review comments, we did do some plan changes that included some bylaw buffer zones. We added the tree line to the plan set. We added the ORAD intermittent stream bank flags to the plans. Those weren't originally included. We added the limit of proposed BVW fill to the plans, the replication area, and the proposed stockpile locations. Additionally, Goddard, we submitted a stream crossing protocol, seeding locations for all impacted areas, and a seed description. We also sent in a natural heritage estimated and priority habitat map to show that there is no estimated or priority habitat on the locust site. And additionally, we submitted a construction sequence plan. Those are just kind of high level comments. I can bring up the full plan set and the review response letter number 1 that we submitted if needed. But at this point, if you have any other questions for me, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Otherwise, I could turn it back over to Bricolai.
Rika?
I have no further comments or questions at this time.
Okay, then at that, I will entertain a motion to continue also to December 12th.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Louise.
Second,
Did I pronounce that wrong? To December 12th at 7:02 PM.
correct.
Second?
Richard,
I vote to continue.
Louis,
Continue.
Nicole,
Continue.
Michael,
Continue.
Roger votes to continue.
Thank you all. We'll see you on December 12th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next one's for 160 Spring Street. Is anyone for 60 Spring Street, Lot 1? Anyone in attendance for that?
Yes, my name's Peter Lavoy. I work with D&L Design Group, and I'm here representing the applicant for Lot 1, 60 Spring Street.
Yeah. Can you give an update, or do you have one?
So since the last meeting, we still don't have a DEP number, and we don't have the peer review from Beta yet. But we did walk the site with Rika on yesterday. Myself, the botanist, and the previous owner, we walked Spring Street. I don't know if Rika wants to comment on that site walk.
Sure. For brevity, this is for both Lot 1 and Lot 3 public hearings, but since only Lot 1 is open, I'll just speak to Lot 1. We did walk the road, if you will, for both lots. I have no concerns about any potential wetland fill at this point. And then just an update on the existing violations from the previous filing. Those have been financially mitigated, so that's no longer a concern of mine. So we are just currently waiting on Beta peer review, and we'll keep trucking along.
Okay. Can I have a motion to continue Lot 160 Spring Street?
Of course. I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Lot 1, 60 Spring Street to December 12th at 7:03 PM.
Do I hear a second?
Second?
Vote to continue.
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 And Roger votes to continue. Next one, pretty much a repeat, but it's going to be Lot 3, 60 Spring Street. Same update, I'm assuming.
Yes.
There's
Okay.
nothing difference between the two, is there?
I don't know, Brika, was there anything different between the two lots?
No different update. There isn't a different update between the two, no.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Can I have another motion to continue?
Of course. I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Lot 3, 60 Spring Street to December 13th at 7:04 PM.
Second?
Richard,
Continue.
it's December 12th, correct?
Yeah, it was written 13th, but
Okay.
all right, to the 12th.
Okay. Richard, how do you vote?
I vote to continue.
Okay, Louis,
Continue.
Nicole,
Continue.
Michael,
Continue?
Roger votes to continue.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next public hearing is for 7 Briarwood. Is anyone from Briarwood attending?
Yes, Dave Clenick from Collins Engineering.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us an update?
Sure. So if I can share the screen. And everybody see the plan?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right. So we went back and we placed the NHESP boundary line scaled onto the property. Then we went back to the Division of Fish and Wildlife based on this new plan, including the tree removal outside the jurisdiction of the 100-foot buffer. And they found that this project will not adversely affect wetland protection, and it will not result in a prohibited take for the endangered species. So we got a second letter dated November 7th, based on this plan, saying that's acceptable for the Division of Fish and Wildlife. Some of the revisions we put on here for the plan were the tree cutting area for access outside the 100-foot. Just to go over it quickly, this purple line here is the wetland line delineated by Brook Monroe. The orange is the 50, the purple is the 100. The septic system will go outside, completely outside the 50-foot buffer. It will be located between the 50 and the 100-foot, and somewhat inside the NHESP boundary line. No trees will be cut in this area. The existing cesspool is right here. It's a little round circle. That will be removed. We're going to place a new D-box and a septic system in this area here. We will provide a 8-inch diameter composting silt sock, and that is this reddish line. It starts at the bulkhead, and it works around the area of construction. No trees to be cut, and then it will work itself right out to the street. We put in all the revisions that we required of us. We revised the construction sequence. We added notes regarding the tree removal and the stabilization. We did do a composting silt sock, and we modified the engineer and board of health note number 4. So that's basically it. It's that nothing has changed on the plan except for the addition of for the information as far as the NHESP is concerned, and the wildlife, and of course the data sheets that were required for the brook.
Thank you. Bricolai? Thoughts?
Yeah, ultimately, I would recommend approval with standard special conditions. Unfortunately, I am obligated, and I feel very strongly to put something on record. There has been several versions of a rumor going around, especially to town council and town administrator Jamie Helen, that I had asked for a bribe for this project. So just very plainly putting on record that that did not occur, will never occur. I felt very strongly that I needed to say that, not only for my position, the integrity of my department, but also the integrity of the Conservation Commission. So with that, interim chair, Roger, I can put into record the recommended standard special conditions, if that behooves you.
Yes, please.
Sure. Recommend approval with standard special conditions 20 through 22, 24 through 31, 33 through 35, 37 to 41, 44, 46, and 47.
Thank you.
Yep.
So can we have a recommendation to approve with special conditions?
I'll give you a motion to approve the NOI for 7 Briarwood Road with the aforementioned special conditions.
Do we
Second.
need to do comments?
Excuse me, Michael?
Do we need to request public comment?
Is there anyone else in attendance who wants to comment on this issue?
Doesn't sound like it.
No.
You want me to give you a motion again?
We have a motion on the floor and it's been seconded, so how do you vote, Richard?
I vote to approve
With special conditions.
with special conditions.
Louis,
Vote to approve. The special.
Nicole,
Approve.
Michael,
Approve with special conditions.
Roger approves with special conditions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
NOI for Prospect Street culvert repair. Is anyone in the audience who wants to speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mike Maglio, Town Engineer, Franklin DPW.
Hi, Mike.
So I just want to start off by, first of all, just to pause. This is for a culvert replacement. That was an emergency replacement we did last winter. Happened right around Christmas and New Year's time. I just want to start off by apologizing for taking so long to get the submittal to the commission, but this has been a crazy year for us, and it's been a little bit construction season, a little bit busier than normal than we usually have to deal with. But with that said, also with me tonight is Brooke Morganelli, Assistant Town Engineer. So to give you the rundown, a basic description of what happened, last December we had a couple of rainstorms that affected the existing culvert that was out there. The old culvert was a 3.5 by 5 foot stone box culvert that was built sometime in the mid 1800s. After, with those storms we had last December, there was some debris that became that blocked the culvert and had some issues. We had some water, the water levels were rising. When we tried to clear that the debris, we noticed that some of the sides of the stone box culvert were collapsing on the inlet end, and it started eroding and undermining the roadway itself. We had our on-call contractor come in, help us evaluate it. We had our DPW bring out some Jersey barrier to narrow the roadway because the pavement was becoming undermined, and we had to narrow the road to 1 lane. And when we realized we were going to have to replace the culvert as a public safety issue, we reached out to I think Brian Taberner at the time to let him know the issue, and I think Bricolai was out of the office at the moment, but just to let everybody know that what was going on, and it was a public safety thing. We had to replace the culvert. So our on-call contractor started construction, mobilized to the site the day after Christmas, and we basically took us about 2 weeks to get the entire culvert replaced. We replaced it with a 4-foot diameter reinforced concrete pipe. We did some analysis to determine the sizing of the pipe and the slope that it should be to be installed at, and overall the project was a success. We were able to get the road back open within about 2 weeks.
Thank you. Bricolai, any thoughts on your side?
Just a few supplemental notes. So I have not included this in your packets, but as Mike mentioned, I was on leave at the time due to my previous surgery, if the commissioner remembers, and Brian did provide email authorization for the culvert repair, and then upon my return I did draft an official emergency authorization on letterhead. So I can include that in your packet. And then just for a transparency note, as a reminder to the commission, because this is a town project that's within state jurisdictional water resources, typically I'm very hands-off on that from an ethics and transparency perspective. I am a glorified paper pusher. So Beta will be taking the sole review on this one.
Okay. I also noticed there's no DEP number yet.
That's correct. Yeah, not surprising. As we know, DEP definitely does take some time in getting back to us.
Okay.
So the project isn't complete, but we can't vote to approve it yet?
So it's an after the fact notice of intent. That's correct. So DEP still needs to provide a number 1, or option A, but I don't want to be redundant with my numbers. And then we also need to do a formal review.
Wow.
So we've done this in past, and it's very typical. And even when I was consulting, I would do this for emergency response for like transformer blowouts and things like that, because what's paramount is human health and safety. And then you go back and review. And sometimes there's restoration that needs to be completed, or some things need to be shifted minorly, hopefully not the entire culvert. That's probably going to stay. But there are boxes to check, if you will.
Okay,
And being a town project, we want to be completely open with it anyhow, so it's a good thing. Motion to continue to December 12th.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Prospect Street culvert repair to December 12th at 7:05 PM.
Second,
Richard,
Vote to continue.
Louis,
Vote to continue.
Nicole,
Continue.
Michael,
continue.
Roger votes to continue as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
NOI for Lot 2. Let me see. Brick, are we talking 2 lots here?
That's
Lot
correct.
2,
Yep.
Lot 2 and Lot 3. Brick-alike, can we take those together, or would we
No,
be
they're
separate?
2 separate projects.
Okay. So I'll open the meeting for the NOI for Lot 2, 844 Lincoln Street. Is the applicant available, or anyone representing?
Yes, sir. For the applicant, Eric Dias, registered professional engineer with Strong Point Engineering.
Can you give us an update, please?
I can, yes. First, and forgive me, I'm the guy who didn't read the fine print on the agenda, and I drove to City Hall, and so I'm doing this from my truck.
There you go. Looks pretty dark, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in an undisclosed location right now, apparently.
There you go.
It'll do.
Okay. That'll do.
You may recall 4, maybe 6 weeks ago or so, we were before you for this project. We had talked about, I think, both of the lots, and a concern came up over a butter notification. So we were asked to refile, and we did. We refiled what is basically the same design, but I think we made some improvements to it based on agent comments. I know this is the first technical meeting of this particular new filing, so I will walk through it and just give a brief overview. Let me go ahead and share. I do not have the ability to share the screen yet.
We'll take it.
Oh, I got it. Give me half a second to pull this up. Okay, can everybody see the plan now?
Okay.
So this is 840, well, it was 844 Lincoln Street, right on the corner of Lincoln and Amy's Way. We proposed, Lot 2 was a proposed A&R lot. The A&R lot has been to the planning board, and the planning board has endorsed the plan. So Lot 2, which is the subject of this notice of intent, is now a legal lot. The subject of the notice of intent really is this isolated vegetated wetland that you see along the frontage of Amy's Way. It encapsulates, it spans the entire frontage of Amy's Way. It's only jurisdictional under the local bylaw, not under the WPA. So we filed under the local only. And this really becomes what equates to a limited project, where the only way to get to the buildable part of the project is to traverse through the wetland. We're proposing to bring a driveway with a small culvert under it through the wetland to maintain a hydraulic connection on both sides. We are putting in a 14-foot wide driveway through the wetland and buffer zone. We are grading that back at a 3-to-1 slope on the sides for stability. The proposed house, the proposed walkway, the main landing area of the driveway are all proposed to be outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. So the only things that are going in the buffer zone or wetland are the driveway on the right-hand side of the house And on the left-hand side of the house, we are proposing temporary disturbance to bring sewer and electric to the house. The existing sewer in Amy's Way does not run all the way to the driveway location. So we are tying in to the trunk line that exists, and electric is actually all the way over at, I believe it's number 7 Amy's Way. It's 2 houses down, so we have to run that up the sideline as well. So this limits disturbance within the roadway, things like that. We have proposed a full planting plan to mitigate for permanent disturbances to the BBW. We'll be doing a 2-to-1 replication along the sloped area on the lot side of the IVW. And we are proposing restoration of the temporary disturbances within the buffer zone and the IVW where the utility installation will go. There is a complete replication and restoration protocol requiring monitoring, inspection, all of the things that are required by DEP standards in the notice of intent. We have, since the last time we were here, we drastically upgraded the alternatives analysis, which I can run through if you like, but yeah, they get somewhat exhaustive, and they are in the notice of intent application package. And beyond that, we did submit a formal variance request for the work within the IVW. The other thing that we know at this point is that this is going to peer review at Beta. Beta has not begun their review yet, so we do not have comments, obviously. Obviously, that means we're not in a position to close this evening, but we wanted to come and give an introduction and likely continue to the next. And that's all I have for now, Mr. Chair. I am glad to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Is that culvert big enough?
I believe it is, yes. We proposed an 18-inch culvert,
18,
50%.
okay.
Yeah, and we're going to embed it 50%, so that way the widest point is right at the ground surface to allow the most hydraulic connection we can get.
All right.
We can't go too much bigger than that because we are dealing with some steepness issues as we start to approach Amy's Way on the driveway, and we need adequate cover, obviously.
That should work.
I have a question about the, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I have a question about the slope. You're doing a 3-to-1 slope?
3-to-1 on the sides of the driveways, just to return back to the existing grade. 3-to-1 is generally accepted as what is probably the limits of what we can stabilize without needing geo netting and things like that can be stabilized with just vegetation. Certainly there is notation here that we will apply geo netting if we need to. And that's it.
Wouldn't the 3-to-1 increase the erosion compared to like a 2-to-1?
Actually, a 2-to-1 is steeper. 2-to-1 is steeper, so it's horizontal for every vertical. So a 2-to-1 would be 2 feet horizontal for 1 foot vertical. And on a 3-to-1, it's 3 feet horizontal to 1 foot vertical. And if you look at the existing contours that are on the plan now, the existing slope that's here really does approximate a 3-to-1 slope in the current condition.
Okay.
Quick
And I
question.
should also mention that we have proposed adequate sediment and erosion controls around the limits of disturbance as needed.
Did you ever give thought to, I believe we're going to pretty much go through the same exercise on the next lot. Did you ever give thought to a shared driveway for the first 50 feet, 100 feet to get across the brook? Cut every, it would cut your expenses in half and everything else in half.
Well, we did give some thought to it. There is a prohibition in the zoning bylaw, I believe, where they're not allowed by right within the town. The other thing too, so that is certainly a challenge. And then beyond that, there is a bit of a marketability factor that really wouldn't, keep in accord with what's out in that neighborhood now. we believe that the mitigation proposed offsets any of the disturbances and does the job of kind of getting us back to a net zero here.
Okay. Bricolai, any comments?
So I had a comment, I'm sorry.
Sure, go ahead,
Go for
please.
it, Louis.
So I see here is a great 12% if I'm seeing from where the driveway is going down.
Yep, that's correct.
I think last time, and I remember this meeting, when you presented it the first time, I think there was kind of like some talk about stormwater, talking to perhaps the DPW or just kind of like looking into any potential runoff or increased runoff on this particular area. Has that been looked at, or conversations have taken place regarding that?
That is something that we did take a look at. One of the things that we did, and I should have noted that on this plan, there is notation to put a cross slope on the driveway. The reason for that is that we want the water to shed off of the driveway and into disturbed areas where it can be absorbed, vegetated areas where it can be absorbed, as opposed to just cascading right down the driveway into the road. Right, that would certainly exasperate current drainage issues out there. So we did kind of direct the water elsewhere, and I believe the applicant has had some conversations with DPW about drainage issues on the street, and I believe that they're aware that there are some issues out there that they're looking into.
Okay, and I think if I recollect, just going back to this meeting, the filing for just like the butters, I remember that there was just a description of it. So when the second filing came about, was there more of a description on that as far as the intent of the project?
There is, yes. We greatly expanded the description. We did run it by your agent before we sent them out, and I don't want to speak for her, but I think we were in agreement with the language. And we did send, instead of sending 2 notices in one envelope as we did the first time, we sent individual notices. So each abutter got 2 notices, one for each lot. And I actually do have the green cards in my bag because I thought this was in person tonight. And I think we got back all but 1 or 2 of them.
Okay. And then I think it was just describing the not just the driveway, but I think if the other thing that was impacted was the utilities as well. So I think that was kind of omitted as well. But I would just to kind of ensure that folks understand what's going to occur. And I appreciate your going back and reworking it here.
Thank you.
I may have some additional comments, but I'm still looking at it right now, but I'll continue further if anybody else has.
Thank you, Louis. Any other commissioners?
So one thing, just open it up for comments, just to
From the public, yes. Is there anyone from the public on Zoom? I don't see anybody. Do you, Bricolai?
No, I do not. I don't see anybody raising their hand either. So
Okay. Do you have any thoughts, Bricolai?
no, not at this time. I think this
Okay.
is I think the restoration is good to put on the plan. And then Eric, sorry about your trip. For the
My
green
fault
cards,
completely.
if you don't want to keep them for another month, you can actually put them in my mailbox or in the mailroom, and I'll have
Okay.
someone grab them tomorrow.
All right, great. I'm in a mobile gas station parking lot halfway home.
Oh, don't worry about it. Don't turn around. Keep on going home.
I made it halfway, and then my wife called and said, "You better pull over. You're not going to make it."
No.
Completely my fault.
Okay.
That happens.
Otherwise, no, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of the review.
Absolutely. And you did call in anyhow, so that's a good thing. So we can make a motion to continue this lot 2, 844 Lincoln Street.
Is it lot 2? Yeah, I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for lot 2, 844 Lincoln Street to December 12th at 7:05 or 7:06.
06 now, yep. Second, Richard, how do you vote?
I vote to continue.
Louis,
Continue.
Nicole,
Continue.
Nicole,
Continue.
thank you. Michael,
continue,
Roger votes to continue. We'll open up now for lot, is it 3? Lot 3, 844 Lincoln Street. Anyone here from the applicant?
Yes, sir. For the record, Eric Dias, registered professional engineer with Strong Point Engineering.
Thank you. They want to give us a brief update.
I will, yes. I'll defer to how much detail you want me to get into. But my explanation is going to be very much the same as what we just went through. If I can open the plan. Yeah, those are the kids. If I can open the plan, this is lot 3. It very much the same thing. It's almost a mirror image over the property line. We're bringing the driveway up through the IVW, through the buffer zone. That will be a permanent disturbance. Same cross slope, same intention to shed the water to vegetated areas. Temporary disturbance for sewer and electric on the left side of the proposed house. House is completely outside of the 100 buffer zone, as is the main level area for the driveway. We did again propose a thorough planting plan to replicate permanent disturbances at 2:1, and to restore temporary disturbances from utility restoration installation, excuse me. Again, adequate erosion controls. Basically the same alternatives analysis as lot 2, and we are just sort of looking forward to comments from Beta at this point.
Any questions from the commissioners?
No. Is lot 2 off to the left there?
Yeah, lot 2 is to the right as you're looking at it from Amy's Way.
Oh,
So
okay.
lot 2 would be Page South, where the north arrow is.
Gotcha.
Anyone else? Anyone from the audience? Not seeing any breaker. Why? Any comments?
Nope.
I guess we'll continue.
I guess so. I'll take a motion to continue then.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for lot 3, 844 Lincoln Street to December 12th at 7:07 PM.
Richard, give you a second. Richard,
Vote to continue.
Louis,
Continue.
Nicole,
Continue.
Michael,
continue,
Roger votes to continue as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Go home.
Halfway there.
Yeah. The next NOI is for 55 Constitution Boulevard. Is anyone from Constitution Boulevard available?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. My name is Todd Morey. I'm with Beals Associates. I also have Tyler Lapshansky from our office with us. And typically we would have Jeffrey Sullivan from Northbridge Partners with us on this, but unfortunately, it sounds like he triple booked himself this evening. And my understanding is he's out of state. So you'll have to listen to me for a little while, but I will try to be brief. We prepared a presentation for this notice of intent, just to run down through the general overview, but just some housekeeping items. We do have the green cards, but we can bring them to the next meeting with us. Hopefully that one will be in person. Mass DEP, as of 3 o'clock this afternoon was the last time I checked. They had not issued a number yet.
Okay.
And we're also aware that this will go out to peer review with Beta. And I don't know where they stand in that process, but obviously we don't have comments back yet. So
Yes.
I think tonight we'd be best suited just to, we'll provide a overview of the project and what we've done to work in and around the natural resource areas, and take any questions you may have at that point. So,
Thank you.
with the commission's permission, if I could share my screen. Oh, so it came up. That's awesome.
Oh, this is that Constitution.
Let's see, which screen did you get? Yeah, this screen up here. All right. Pardon me, I have too many monitors in front of me here. So we were in front of the commission back in I believe May and June, with the order of resource area delineation being approved in July of this year. At that time, we had identified several resources on the site. We had bordering vegetated wetlands in this location here. We had bordering vegetated wetlands in the central portion. And then we had an isolated vegetated wetland over here that we also conceded would be considered isolated land subject to flooding. At the time, we hadn't identified any riverfront area, any bordering land subject to flooding, no natural heritage areas, and no vernal pools, either certified or potential vernal pools. During those proceedings, we also had noted, or I believe some members of the commission had noted, that there was potential for wetlands across Constitution Boulevard. And we had said that we will include that with our notice of intent filing, the location of that, as well as the 100-foot buffer zone that's associated with it. And we did go and we looked at it. We did not hang, excuse me, we did not hang flags on it. We did GPS locate it. It's a fairly well-defined drainage ditch that's on that side of Constitution Boulevard. As we get into this, you'll see that the 100-foot buffer does just extend onto the property we're proposing for redevelopment here. The property itself currently is a vacated office building. It's got about a 70,000 square foot footprint on the ground. It's 3 stories, so it's about 210,000 square feet total. There's about 9.6 acres of total impervious area around the site. You see the building located centrally here. Passenger car parking is located pretty much 360 degrees around it. There is a small service and loading area directly in the rear. One of the outstanding features in the back here that really stands out is there's a retaining wall that comes right across this area here. It really is what forms the border to this centralized wetland area.
So, sorry, Jeff, sorry, Todd, just a minute. So if you're presenting, at least on my side, I'm only seeing like the cover sheet, and I'm not seeing where you're pointing to. Is anybody else seeing that? Yeah. So we're seeing, yeah, there you go.
Is this rolling now?
Yeah, now it is. It was still
There
on
we
the,
go.
I was still on the front sheet. So if you can backtrack a little, just to, just to kind of, just to go back and just a little bit. Thank you.
So are you seeing a screen now that says existing conditions?
Yes.
Terrific.
Right.
All right.
Thank you.
Too many screens here.
I get it.
Yeah, so let me, where is my pointer? Right there. All right. So the areas, the wetland areas that I discussed. So we have a bordering vegetated wetland here, which is actually part of the detention pond, a detention pond that was built for the overall Franklin Industrial Park. This is also considered a bordering vegetated wetland, as confirmed in the ORAD. This eventually leads down to Dix Brook. There's also a isolated wetland over here that we also discussed during our ORAD proceedings that was likely an isolated land subject to flooding as well. So those 2 resource areas contained here. And then the drainage ditch that I was talking about is located right down here on the very bottom of the screen on the other side of Constitution Boulevard. It's, like I said, it's a very well-defined drainage ditch. Because we don't control that property, we did not hang flags on it, but we did GPS locate the edges of that. The buffer zone that's associated with that does translate onto our site, and that's shown on the project plans that we've submitted. The building is centrally located, as I noted, right in here, 70,000 square foot footprint, 210,000 total square feet in the building. All around the building, 360 degrees around, is the passenger vehicle parking. 2 entrance points, one located right here, one located further along Constitution. And then this back area is what I was starting to talk about, is the kind of a loading and service area, some utility connection points and things like that. There's a retaining wall that comes right across this edge. This retaining wall forms one of the edges of this wetland, actually. The wetland goes right up to the toe of that retaining wall. And I think what originally, back before any of this was developed, there was somewhat of a wetland feature, or maybe even an intermittent stream that came all the way down through this property, was mostly filled in. This retaining wall was put up to try to preserve as much as they could down here, and that's been there ever since. The only other outstanding feature that's on the site that I want to mention is when we come over in this area, there's a sewer easement that runs from the assisted living facility diagonally down through this edge, and then connects to a gravity sewer here. The fire station's water, sewer, and some of their drainage also run all the way through here, and the drainage eventually outlets into this pond. Water and sewer go off this way. But the reason I mentioned that easement right there is that there's a break in this wooded area that serves as a very clear delineation and very clear demarcation of where that is. If you walk out there, it'll be very, very obvious. And I'll talk about that in relation to our work versus the isolated wetland and land subject to flooding in just a moment. So our proposed project involves redeveloping the entire site, taking down the office building, and working with the existing grades, existing parking lot, to create 2 buildings. These buildings right now are foreseen to be, one would definitely be shaped and function as a warehouse. The other one could be a flexible building, could have a variety of different tenants in it. Northbridge proposes these buildings on a spec basis. They would probably build these on a spec basis without a tenant. They do not currently have a tenant in mind, but some of the types of uses that have gone into some of their other buildings that have gone up this way have ranged everywhere from, we have a project in Shrewsbury that has some movie stage storage equipment in it. So they're storing props, things like that. We have healthcare warehousing going in some of their other developments. We have some small scale research and development firms going in some of their others. So it's a variety of uses that they market their sites to. So they don't just go after typical warehouse users. The other thing you should know about this site is it is not conducive to an Amazon. And I know that's probably more for the planning board, but we get asked that all the time. Is this going to be an Amazon? No, this is not set up that way. It's not large enough, and we don't have nearly the traffic capacity or the van storage capacity for that. So I'm going to take that right off the table. The proposed facilities, building A would be about just under 125,000 square feet. Building B would be just over 60,000 square feet. So there'd be a total of about 185,000 square feet of building footprint on the property. We're proposing a total of 311 parking spaces, about 31 loading spaces, and just a small area for some trailer parking, extra trailer parking up here. Total impervious area would raise on the site from about 9.6 acres today to about 10.6 acres if this plan goes just as proposed right now. Around the edges, what we've tried to do is stay either as close to or pull back some of the pavement areas. For example, in this area here around the retaining wall that I had talked about, we actually pulled it back off that wall a little bit. We'll be able to vegetate a little bit of area in there. Around these edges, we've stayed out of the 50-foot buffer zone. If you can see very subtly the color difference on this plan, that is actually our limit of work. So where you have this green right there where my pointer is now, that would be a short vegetated slope. Once you get off of that green and back into this natural color on the aerial photo, that would be untouched. So you can see that carrying around. And what we've done is where we are in a buffer zone, whether it's the 100 or even approaching the 100, we've tightened those slopes up to a 2-to-1 slope. They're about 2 to 3 feet tall. So these are not large, lengthy running slopes. We're not as concerned about erosion as we would be if they were a 15-foot embankment or something. So we pulled those slopes in so we can keep that limit of work as tight to the pavement as possible. Maintained the same general locations for the 2 driveways. So we're not expanding that and getting into the buffer zone that I spoke of earlier. And then as we come along the backside, we did the same thing as we get near this isolated wetland area. Right off the edge of that parking, we have very, very quick and abrupt slopes that are probably about 2 to 3 feet high at the most, and try to tie into existing grades and leave the rest undisturbed to the extent that we could. Down in this corner here, even though it's out of your jurisdictional area, we're going to remove the existing pavement that's there, revegetate it with grasses, and put some plantings in. We've also tried to put a few intermediate islands in and around through the parking just to help break up the perception of the massive pavement. One semi-unavoidable byproduct of these types of buildings and these types of developments are they do have a lot of pavement. They do generate a lot of areas for truck maneuvering and things like that. So what we try to do when we can is make the parking a little bit more odd-shaped, break it up in areas where we can. And again, along the front of the building, you can see we have some intermediate bump outs just to put some vegetation in and break up that visualized perception of pavement. For stormwater management, we've totally changed the entire system on the site. So we're not going to rely on any of the prior stormwater management that was on the property. Really, the way the existing system works is runoff flows into a catch basin, to a manhole, and then to the stormwater pond in the back. There's really no water quality control, no water quality structures at all on the site. So any sediment that's running through is running right out. There is a very, very small area of recharge that exists right about in this location. If you can see that red dot moving around, it takes about 10,000 square feet of the roof area and infiltrates it. I don't know what the discussions were when that was originally designed. I don't know, given the age of the building, it may have been some kind of a pilot program trying to see if that would work or if that would help. But based on the soils there just weren't too many opportunities. We did look at a lot of different test pits areas throughout the site. Everything on the site is pretty much C and D soils, very tight loamy sands and sandy loams all throughout. There are some areas of high groundwater, especially when you get back in this area here and then along this edge here. Groundwater was generally running about 2 to 3 feet below grade. So infiltration areas were minimal at best. So what we've proposed to offset all of that and to make up for everything is a whole new drainage system, including recapturing the existing pipe that comes off from behind the fire department, running everything through that centralized corridor again, taking the roof, bringing the roof into this detention area here, and then proposing a series of water quality units and filtration systems to provide TSS removal and phosphorus removal to meet both the state and local standards for TSS and phosphorus. The main discharge is still to this basin over here. And you can see these green lines that point over to it. How did our system work? Well, our system worked out pretty well. So what we were trying to do is not radically reduce the amount of flow going to any location, whether it was to that existing basin or to the 2 other wetlands, the centralized wetland or the isolated wetland. We wanted to replicate as best we could the flow rate as well as the volume that went to those three areas. The table on here shows the comparison of how we did in that aspect. Point of analysis number one, the top set of tables is the overall basin, the large basin. Point of analysis number two is really the centralized wetland that's up behind that retaining wall. And point of analysis number three is the isolated wetland that's in the upper right-hand corner of the drawings. Buffer zones, impacts to buffer zones. So we looked at this, and this graphic represents just impervious surfaces only. I don't have the totals with me this evening for the total impact. But as I mentioned, we kept everything fairly tight to the pavement. But today, with the current layout, there's just over 1,000 square feet of impact in the 25-foot buffer. And this is impervious surface again. Once we're done, we'll reduce that down to about 619 square feet. So percentage-wise, it's a pretty good reduction. I understand it is just 400 square feet of reduction, but it's still a pretty good percentage of it. The 50-foot buffer, likewise, we go from about 5,700 square feet of pavement in that 50-foot buffer today. When we're done, we will reduce it down to about 3,400 square feet of impact in the 50-foot buffer. And in the 100-foot buffer, we're at about just under 26,000 square feet today. That will increase up to 40,500 square feet. And most of that is located right over here in this area where my cursor is kind of tracing right now. You can see this is what it looks like today over there. This is what it'll look like in the future over there. So the total impacts to all the various buffers results in a net change of about 11,000 square feet of increase. And that is all in the 100-foot buffer. Like I said, the 25 and the 50-foot buffers both decrease. I'm not going to read these slides word for word because all of this is repeated in our notice of intent book. But we went through and we looked at the various characteristics and functions that not only the Wetlands Protection Act covers, but also what your bylaw covers. And we made sure we provided responses and commentary on all of those items as well. So at that point, I will stop talking for a moment and ask if there's any questions or if I should return the screen back to your control or.
Do any of the commissioners have a question?
I have a few questions.
Sure.
So the outflow pipe for all of the water quality, the catchments and stuff like that, where is the outflow pipe going to be?
If you can see on the screen here, it's this location right here, these two locations. They're actually the outlets themselves are these same pipes that are in the ground today. So what we've done is we've left the discharge pipes in place and put the new system from the manhole backwards. So we wouldn't actually be working on the edge of that basin.
How old is the pipes that are currently there?
I'm not sure the exact age of them. I've looked at them. Those ends are in pretty good shape, but I can get an exact date on those for you.
And what I know you went through the flow rate and whatnot, but what is going to be the quality of water being discharged into the wetland? I went through your plan. I was quite impressed with the units that you're going to be using, but what is the quality of water that's going to be basically coming out of that? Because you're going to have oils and stuff like that from the runoff.
Yep. So the your town standard is 90% TSS removal and
Okay.
60% phosphorus reduction, and we meet both of those standards.
Okay, thank you.
Richard, do those type of pipes have a lifespan, if you will?
What kind of pipes were they? They
They're-
RTP or PVC?
Yeah, reinforced concrete with reinforced concrete flared ends on them,
Oh,
and a pretty robust riprap embankment that leads down to that. I'm not sure who designed it or who constructed it. That's a well-built basin.
Yeah, the RCP will last forever.
Okay.
I was just concerned with any leaching that might be coming out of an old pipe into the water.
Yeah.
Especially with concrete. I don't know how old the concrete is, so that was my concern.
I think they're leaving the old exit pipes into that vegetated wetland so that they don't disturb the wetland any more than they have to. They're just going to hook onto it. And if they're down there looking at it, when they hook onto it, you can get a very good visual on whether it's deteriorated or not.
Yeah. And if any of you commission members go out to that site, you know, I encourage you to look down that embankment and see you can see what I was talking about as far as the riprap armament around those pipes. And you'll see why we don't want to get down in there and disturb it. It's, like I said, it was well constructed. And it's one of those where you just look at it, you go, let's just leave well enough alone.
What was the diameter of the pipe?
One of them is a 36-inch pipe, and the other one, I believe, is a 12-inch pipe. The main one, obviously, is the 36.
36, the one on the upper, that one there.
This one here is the 36. Yep. And I believe this one's either an 18 or a 12.
So you mentioned that the area of impervious, it's going to increase from 9.6 to 10.6. So with that size pipe, it's going to be sufficient with that increase of impervious runoff, or like.
Yes. Yeah. And actually what you'll see is there's two parallel lines here. We had to split these out to make the hydraulics work because, as I said, today there's a connection that comes from behind the fire department and runs all the way through the site and discharges out through here. So we had to pick that up again and run it through. And that's why you see this extra pipe in here to help convey those flows. There's another line that picks up most of the parking lot that comes along this way here. And then they connect. So your combined section is through here and the hydraulics work out. And the main reason the hydraulics work out is that we're taking this entire building rooftop and dropping into an underground system right here to hold it back and detain it. Instead of rushing that building rooftop out through, it's being held back and hung out. So it was a hydraulic exercise in this case.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
Tyler did
with
pretty good
the
job on that.
firehouse is at that my work, it kind of goes into this property. Just the calculations there also with whatever's running into that pipe inflow is also, you guys are also took that into consideration.
Yes, sir. Yes. If you look at the it's in the stormwater management report. And you can see there's a subcatchment. We grabbed, I think it's about half this roof, this area, the parking as well, and then this whole back area here. So there's, I would say roughly somewhere between a half and a third of the fire department area goes into that pipe.
Okay.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, I think I did have the same water quality question as well. Let's see here. Operation and maintenance plan. Is there anything required for that? For these pipes, like for the at least for the one down there?
Yeah. So in the O&M plans, we call for periodic inspection of catch basins and things like that to clean them out. But we also have to, with the water quality units themselves, there's a fairly detailed O&M procedure for those. So for example, the phosphorus filters, you actually have to change those out periodically. And then the regular water quality units have to be inspected and then vacuum cleaned occasionally. And
all right, thanks. One last thing on my end. Replication. I think maybe still working toward that. We'll see. I think this is still going through review, but I wanted to take a look at, not sure if what that percentage is of replication versus disturbed. That's there's like a number out there right now that you currently have. I don't think I've seen that on the plans, but
Yeah, we don't have any direct wetland impacts, so everything's in buffers.
okay. Okay, I got it. That's all right. Thank you.
Okay.
I just had one quick question. I forgot that so runoff from the firehouse is going into the same pipes?
Well, it's a dedicated system. If you follow, hopefully you can see the red dot. It's a
Yeah,
dedicated system all the way down through here, its own pipe, till it gets to this point here. And then it combines with the parking lots, building a rooftop, and the treated water, and then runs through.
okay. But the firehouse is gonna have other heavy metals and whatnot.
The firehouse is the firehouse. It runs into there now. So whatever comes out of there now is going to be coming out of there in the future, I would imagine. I don't think they're proposing anything different.
Okay.
Are you good for now, Nicole?
Yes, it's just if you're going to be, if their runoff is going to be sharing the piping and whatnot, you don't know what kind of runoff that they have. So are there systems that you're going to have going to be able to take care of whatever runoff the firehouse could possibly have? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what kind of, particulates and whatnot they're dealing with. I mean, I don't know if your filters could handle what they have. I don't know. Like, has there been a water quality test on the outflow of those pipes?
On the outflow of the fire department pipes? No, there is not.
No. Oh, because right now it doesn't currently connect, correct?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, the fire department comes right straight through and into this pond today.
Right.
There's also connections from the existing parking lot, the buildings. So it's all one system today that runs right through. So
Okay.
our proposal is to separate it out. All of the treatment for this system,
Right.
for our new pavement, our new buildings and all of that happens prior to the flows combining. So everything gets treated offline from the fire department line.
Okay.
If you follow that. So in other words, there's no fire department water mingling with the new development water before the treatment systems.
All right. Thank you.
I put it.
Any other commissioners with questions? Does anyone from the public have a question? Nikolai, I can't see if any hands are up, so if there are, can you let us know?
There are no comments. No.
Okay. Nikolai, what's your comments or thoughts?
Review is ongoing. Thank you, Todd. That was very thorough. I always
Mm.
appreciate a well-developed presentation. So kudos to you on that.
Appreciate
The
that.
only thing that the commission should consider, or it's recommended to consider, and then Todd as well, for you to include in your variance request or not. And these are similar comments that I'm including in previous filings before you, is that under local bylaw, buffer zone is considered a resource area, which because of the filing fee, but
Yes, I do.
for restoration, that is also included. So what I would recommend is looking at the new impervious area, which again, it's a net reduction regardless. But any new impervious just within buffer and perhaps pitching some plantings or things like that. But again, if you don't have that, I would say that's fine. I do see that you have plantings throughout the site, and those could definitely fit the bill, especially if they're natives.
Yeah, I think maybe one thing that we should consider then is this area down here where I said we were gonna strip pavement out, and I understand it's not next to a resource area.
Yeah,
But maybe we could, we could probably do a whole lot better with the landscaping down in this area.
perfect,
And maybe, create a little bit more dense screening in there.
perfect.
Um,
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, and the other thing I did forget, I just want to remind the commission, because I'm assuming if you go back and you read your meeting minutes from when we went through the ORAD process, in this isolated land subject to flooding back here, there is quite a bit of trash and debris from not necessarily the prior or current property owner. It is likely coming from an abutting source, but just as a reminder, we did commit to getting in there and cleaning that up. I don't believe that's been done yet, but in full disclosure, I haven't been back in that area for about a month. So, but
Thank you,
that is
Todd.
something that needs to be on the record as well.
Perfect, thank you. My foot remembers.
Does anyone else have any further questions? With that, I'll take a recommendation to continue.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 55 Constitution Boulevard to December 12th at 7:08 PM.
Second. Richard, how do you vote?
Vote to continue.
Louis?
Continue.
Nicole?
Continue.
Michael?
Continue.
And Roger votes to continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Have a good evening.
So I believe that was the last of the public hearings. On to minor buffer zone activity. 644 King Street. Is anyone here representing 644 King Street?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Joe Evans on behalf of American East Coast One LLC, 634 King.
Can you give us a brief description of what you're looking for?
Sure. The lot is approximately an acre lot. Actually abuts the parcel you were just discussing in the rear. No structures on the lot currently. There's a small isolated wetland in the back corner of the property, and just looking to do some tree clearing on the property with it up to the 50-foot buffer zone of that wetland.
For a certain purpose?
Yeah, so marketing the property and cleaning it up.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners have any questions?
You say this is next to the Constitution Boulevard property?
This property has frontage on King Street, and if you were to go straight back to the rear, you would walk right into that property that you were just discussing.
Is that the one where they're talking about removing all the trash?
There's no trash on my property.
Not in your property, okay.
Yeah, no, I'm right next to the fire station.
Okay.
If there is trash there, it wasn't put there by me.
Okay.
They bought this property a couple years ago from Cumberland Farms.
If my memory serves me right, property was this before the planning board not too long ago?
It was before the planning board. It was before the town council for a zone change.
Okay.
Do we have a general idea of which, kind of like a plan view of where these trees are going to be removed or identified?
Sure. Well, it was my understanding from the conservation agent, I had a conversation with her that I didn't need any conservation approval for anything that wasn't in the buffer zone. There aren't, it's, Frika, did you head out there?
I did. So you are in the buffer. 100 feet from the wetland is still considered in the buffer. So that's what you were presenting on.
Okay.
I did head out there, but in these sort of cases, what I usually tell people, especially for MBZAs, I can review the project, but I'm reviewing the project on behalf of the commission. So if you disagree with me, you're gonna have to get your own person, unfortunately. So I did go out there. There are some shrubs, there's cottonwood, saplings, oak trees, mature maple trees. And I'm sure you all have my agent report.
Do you have any idea
I don't have that.
how
so
many, you don't have you have any idea what you're gonna cut down?
No, I said I don't have that report. It's,
Oh,
no, I want to clear the lot.
you wanna clear it all just flat?
Yeah, I'd like to clear it up and clean it up and not so much. I don't intend to cut every tree down on the property, but it's a mess out there right now.
Yeah, okay.
I would think before the commission wants to,
We don't have a very good idea,
correct.
clear vision of what you're trying to ask us to approve or disapprove or agree or not disagree with.
I approached the conservation commissioner because I didn't want to cut any trees down that I wasn't supposed to cut down. So she asked me.
Very good idea.
That's a
Yeah.
good idea.
Yeah. So not a commissioner. I would presume to fill that role. That is all of you guys get all that responsibility, not me. But yeah, I helped you on how to file and gave you all the instructions for filing. I did blatantly say you have to have a conversation with the commission because I can't give you approval. That is what this board is looking to do. So what they're seeking clarification on are impacts within their jurisdiction.
Correct. Okay.
So okay. Geez, it'd be nice if you had a little drawing.
Yeah, so that's kind of where
Well, there
I was
is-
getting at
what-
earlier as far as having, we're just kind of having a vocal discussion here. If you're looking, what you're proposing here can help us better if you have something that what you're looking to clear. I'm just kind of like typing on the map, on Google Earth where this property is and really what the boundary is. So, but that's, we leave it up to folks like yourself to, educate us on what your intent is so we can kind of start looking at,
Yeah, sure. Well, on the application,
the
I'd done a diagram, small diagram showing a 50-foot buffer, approximately 50-foot buffer from the wetland that Goddard's been out there. And
you have that up, or could you present that to us today?
He's been made co-host.
That's on the memorandum that's online and the application.
I'll sorry, this is killing me. I'll just facilitate. So Joe, I gave you co-host permission so you can share your screen. Perhaps if you wanted to share that diagram, walk the commission through, what you see on your property since it's your property and you know it the best. And then you could also utilize our GIS while you're talking, or you could even go to Google Street View and you could start pinpointing some of the mature trees that you see from Google Street View. That might help facilitate the discussion. So you would just have to share your screen.
Okay, I mean, I could share the screen and show you what the aerial. I don't have any trees that I could pinpoint that I want to cut down. I want to clear the lot. I want to clear the lot, and
So you just want to clean it off.
I'm sorry.
You want to clear them all off.
Yeah, up to the buffer zone.
Okay.
I don't want to impact.
That's
the
fair.
wetland.
I mean, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So you're not gonna touch any trees within the 100-foot buffer zone?
No, I wouldn't touch any trees within 100 foot. I would ask permission to go to the 50 feet if you would give me that.
Are there any invasive species out there, or is it just trees? It's just native trees.
The studies that were done was the wetlands Goddard was out there, and they also did a vernal pool study, which showed no indication of any vernal pool species. And I can provide the commission that. I don't know if that was included in the application or not, but
So Goddard did a report?
yes.
That'd be handy.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we can't
I
make a
mean-
decision on something that we don't know what, we don't have any information on. I mean, that's, you're asking us to make something that's like a blind decision on something like that, so. It would
There's
be
a little
helpful
help,
to
Joe.
have that.
Yeah, no, I understand. I just, my understanding is that I'm not a wetland scientist. I'm just a property owner. And we did have a wetland, Goddard go out and identify the wetland. And all I know is that there is an isolated vegetated wetland that's delineated on the application. And we did a vernal pool study as well. And there was no indication of any vernal pool species. And I can provide that
Good.
letter. I have it on my screen, if you'd like me to share that, or I can just email it to the commission.
I would think before we give you permission to go in and cut that much, we'd need numbers and sizes of trees you want to cut. And a little more description than what we have tonight. Would be my,
If you send that stuff over, we could look at it and we'd be ready to talk to it next time.
correct.
So as of right now, then I could go within 100 feet of the wetland, but to go to 50 feet, I would need your conservation approval. That's my understanding, correct?
Oh, I don't-
Anything within 100 feet to that isolated vegetated boundary is within conservation jurisdiction. So as I interpret your request, you are requesting for alteration within the 50 to 100-foot buffer zone.
Yes.
So, well, we just said two different things there.
Correct.
You just asked if you could clear everything up to the 100-foot line. Isn't that right?
Well, I understand that I can do that by right. Am I
Okay.
not correct by that? Am I not correct on that?
I don't bring it. I think.
So he can clear
Up to
from
the
the
100-foot line.
street to 100 feet away from the wetland. Yes, anything outside of the wetland boundary he can do.
Yep.
Closer than
might-
that needs to be regulated and
Yeah.
permitted, or is regulated and needs to be permitted, excuse
So
me.
you step 1 foot over the 100-foot line, then we got to talk to us.
Right, okay. Yeah, and
Mhm.
that's, I think we're all clear here now. That's
Good.
why I'm here, so.
So you want to make sure where that 100-foot line is.
Yeah, well, it's all flagged out there, so.
Well, okay.
Send us that information.
I will. Do I need to have be at another public hearing, or can I?
I don't believe we're going to okay that until we discuss this further.
We just need
Okay.
more context here. Of like, a plan would be good.
I think, and
I'm
I would.
still unclear about all this.
I think that anything over the 100-foot line, we would need to take a look at that. So we're not going to approve that tonight until you
Okay.
get us some more information. Give us
So
more
you-
information, that'll be another different story on December.
So you want specific numbers of trees, the types of trees? And that type of
Size.
information?
Size of trees.
Oh,
Okay.
you say you got a report from that engineering report. That ought to be a good starting point.
Yeah, well, that was a vernal pool report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, I can get you that.
Okay. What do you think, Roger?
As long as we're clear on what we're looking for, yes, would be good. I'd hate to do it another month from 2 weeks from now and say we didn't get all our information. So Joe, I would
Yep.
would encourage you to make sure you touch bases and make sure you have what you need when you come
Yeah,
before.
I would just say, on the application itself, I don't think there was anywhere on there that asked for any type of reports like that. There was nowhere to attach that.
Sure, Joe. So we actually discussed on the phone, you mentioned you had the Goddard report, and I said you should include it with the
Okay.
filing. And then additionally, in the instructions for MBZA, it does include, what's generally required by the commission per buffer zone, what should be required in your filing, and then also within our regulations and bylaws, it's outlined too.
Okay, well, I can provide whatever, that report, that vernal pool report. But other than that, I just have that drawing from Goddard that is attached. So,
So-
a drawing is good, a report is good. Any information you got written down is good.
yeah, well, the drawing you have on the application, the actual vernal pool report wasn't there.
We'll
So,
have to get that published and sent out, and so that each of us has a look at that.
So why don't I streamline here for a minute? So Joe, what the commission is requesting, and commissioners, please tell me if I'm incorrect. They would like to know what exactly, especially mature trees, what mature trees you're looking to remove, what their species are, their DBH. So the commission does have in their bylaw, actually tree surveys required for trees over 1 inch DBH. Generally, the commission agrees that that's too small, that's a little overbearing, so they say 3 inches. It was brought up today by Commissioner Puga for invasive species. That changes the conversation. If you're looking to remove invasives, obviously that's a win. Everybody supports that. The saplings, okay, that's a conversation again, 1 to 3 inch DBH. But the mature trees are the concern, because once you lose them, they're gone.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is taking those notes, going back, circling back, looking at what Goddard has provided, seeing if they provided any of that information. And then if you have any questions in the interim, reach out to me.
very good. Thank you very much.
We'll try to work. We're going to try to work with you.
Well, that's why you guys are here, right?
Right.
Right, that's right.
All right. All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
That's fine. Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Okay, thank you. So Brick Alive, we don't need to continue this because it's just a minor buffer zone, right?
Correct. It's general business.
Okay.
What I would suggest is putting something on record that you don't approve it at this time.
Okay. Can I hear a motion that this is still not approved?
So what do we want to say? That we didn't approve it?
I would think we'd want to say that's minor.
We're going to defer the decision to the December 12th meeting.
Correct.
Okay, I'll give you a motion that to refer the decision for the 634 King Street, pending further information on the December 12th meeting.
Second.
Richard, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Defer.
Defer.
Louis?
Defer.
Nicole?
Defer.
Roger?
Michael?
Defer.
Roger votes to defer. And Nicole, I didn't hear you, but I'm assuming you said.
Yes, she did.
Okay. All right, thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, next, 860 West Central Street. Is anyone here
Yep.
representing that?
I am here. Let me just turn on my video.
Okay.
As Mike, can you guys see my? Oh, there I am. Okay. All right. Yes, thank you. For the record, Nate Goshgarian with LEC Environmental, presenting on behalf of the applicant. In this case, the applicant is National Grid. I'm happy to say this is an extremely straightforward project. This is a utility pole replacement. It was filed as an MBZA because it falls under the maintenance exemption under the Wetland Protection Act. So, Mr. Chairman, with your permission, may I share my screen?
Yes.
Thank you. Sharing is not turned on. Okay, hold on.
Now it should be, sorry.
Okay, perfect. All right, could you please confirm you can see the locust map?
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so this is the locust map. The square in red is our pole to be replaced. It's directly adjacent to the commercial property located at 860 West Central Street in the central vicinity of Franklin. In terms of protected wetland resources on or within 100 feet of this project, we have the northern bank / mean annual high water to the perennial Mine Brook, which is extending buffer to the northeast. And so subsequently, we are also in riverfront area. These are the two only resource areas that are on or with 100 feet of this project footprint. So I'm going to scroll down, just give kind of a real world glimpse of what this utility pole actually looks at. So this commercial property right here, I believe, is called Glen Farmer Distillery. This is our pole to be replaced. I don't know if you've ever seen a utility pole replacement. It's more like an extraction. I've seen several dozen of them. Kind of the most important feature with this extraction / replacement are the erosion controls. So in a scenario like this, they typically surround the utility pole to be replaced with a staked silt sock, and then down gradient, dependent on the grade, they may install a silt sock here. That's really the bulk of the project as a whole. Mr. Commit, I'll hand it back over to you. Happy to take any questions. Meantime, I'll stop sharing my screen.
Commissioners, any questions?
No, I mean,
no.
take the old one out and put a new one in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good.
Just have all your, your stuff in place. But yeah, no questions.
Rick Alai, any comments?
This is a night for trees, alive ones and dead ones. Right, we're
All right.
no.
I see it now.
As you all know, in my previous life, contracting with Eversource, this is my jam. It is an exempt minor buffer zone activity and completely de minimis in nature. Recommend approval.
Okay.
Okay. All those in favor to recommend approval? Richard?
Approve.
Louis?
Approve.
Nicole?
Approve.
Michael?
Approve.
Roger approves. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thanks, Nate.
416 Maple Street. Is anyone here from 416 Maple Street?
That's okay. I can summarize if you would like.
Okay, please.
So this is one where a resident identified what trees in the location and where they needed to be removed for an
Okay.
MBZA. So we have two infested maple trees. I do have a letter from the tree company noting that they're infested. As the commission can see, likely on the photos in the MBZA, one is leaning significantly close to the house and is tall enough to strike the house. It's within striking distance. So the applicant, the homeowner, is requesting that the trees be removed. All work is proposed within the existing lawn, so they will be stabilized. The crane will be stabilized up there. Recommend approval with stumps left in place in standard MBZA conditions.
Okay. Sounds like I'm good.
Anyone else with questions? Okay, recommend approval. I believe we still have to vote on these, correct, Rika? Why?
That's correct. Yep.
Okay, Richard?
Vote to approve.
Louis?
Approve.
Nicole?
Approve.
Michael?
Approve.
And Roger approves. Thank you. No, I guess it's just straight Haywood Street.
Yeah, looks like it.
Anyone here from representing Haywood Street?
Yes, hi, Becky Weissman with SWCA Environmental, the environmental consultants for Eversource Energy on this project. Would it be okay if I share my screen?
Yes.
All right. Just making sure people can see it. All right, so we have a minor buffer zone application in front of the Conservation Commission for a ground bed installation project. The project is, like I said, the installation of a cathodic protection ground bed system that will connect to Eversource's existing natural gas pipeline. It's going to be located on the roadway shoulder of Hayward Street in Franklin. And just to explain what a ground bed is. So a ground bed is a cathodic protection system that's designed to protect pipes from corrosion. So basically they use an electrostatic current to help with this corrosion aspect. So they connect an existing electric line to the actual natural gas pipeline, the surface of the natural gas pipeline. And it uses a series of anodes. So you can see in this picture, there's a series of anodes that would be installed. This line here, which is the existing gas line in Hayward Street. So it runs along that gas line along the roadway shoulder. And it consists of 6 anodes that are spaced about 10 feet apart. The installation of a rectifier, which is shown, this is an example of a rectifier from another project that I worked on with another client. And then it has a header cable, so 10 feet of header cable that connects that ground bed system and all those anodes to the gas pipeline. The ground beds are typically located in or near wetlands. It's an important aspect of ground beds is that they're in areas of low electrical resistance. So areas where the soils are more saturated are better for them. And so they tend to be located within wetlands or within buffer zones. So in this case, it is within a buffer zone. We are proposing it as a minor buffer zone activity for installation of a utility in a roadway layout. So again, we've got about 60 feet of ground beds with the 6 anodes connected to the new header cable and the rectifier. This is Hayward Street here. West Central Street is to the north. There are a few wetlands that were delineated by SWCA. Wetland 1 here on the east side of Hayward Street. Wetland 2 is on the left side or west side of Hayward Street. And then there were a couple intermittent channels that were within Wetland 1 that were picked up as well. Work is located within the 100-foot buffer zone. So in the 50 to 100-foot zone area, there will be temporary impacts to about 90 square feet of that 50 to 100-foot buffer zone. And there's no work within the 0 to 25 or the 25 to 50-foot buffer zones. So Eversource's contractors are required to follow Eversource's best management practice manual that requires installation of erosion controls and various other measures. It gives specifications for what those erosion controls need to look like. So the contractors are required to follow the best management practices manual. There will be erosion control barriers, which will likely be straw wattles in this location that will be installed between the proposed work and the wetlands. Eversource has also contracted us to provide environmental oversight during construction. So we would do a contractor compliance training, make sure the contractor is aware of all the requirements that are relevant, either from the commission, the Wetlands Protection Act, the bylaw, and Eversource's BMP manual. We inspect it during construction, and then we do a post-construction inspection to ensure that the area has been properly restored. The work restoration of this area would just be through reseeding and removal of the erosion controls following construction. Oh, sorry, couple of pictures just so you can see where this is located. So the proposed ground bed is going to be located along this roadway, the disturbed roadway shoulder adjacent to the street. So not within the forested area, but along that disturbed roadway shoulder. This is the area facing south towards utility pole number 10, where it'll connect into. The rectifier will be located near this pole. This is a view of that same area facing north. And then kind of a picture, you can barely see it under all the leaf fall, but there is a stream under all these leaves here somewhere. So stream S1 is shown in this picture, and wetland 2. This is an image of wetland 2, which is the wetland that's on the west side of the road where the ground bed will be near where the ground bed will be installed. And that is it. And now I welcome any questions.
Thank you.
That was very well done.
Thank you.
Can you describe a little bit? You mentioned in somewhere I thought I heard the dewatering if needed.
Yeah, so dewatering, if they don't expect that dewatering is going to be required out here, the trench is only going to be, I think, 1.75 feet deep for the installation of the header cable. The anodes are deeper, but you want to have them installed in or near groundwater, and likely won't require any dewatering. But it's the cable where the cable trenching that dewatering could be required. Again, they don't expect that it's going to be required, but my understanding is that they will use a straw wattle corral and filter bag, and it would be discharged to a well-vegetated area. And Eversource's best management manual has guidelines that the contractor has to follow for that dewatering.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commissioners?
So I think on my end, straw wattles, I think we're, when we hear that this commission has suggested using socks, so we're, if we can go ahead and perhaps look at that alternative. And that's just, because of the seeds and earth that may be distributed over time. I did. So how you said how deep are those, by the way? They vary?
5 feet.
The header cable is going to be 1.75 feet deep, the trench. The anodes are deeper. They're like 25 feet deep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so how often do they get replaced at all at any point?
I think typically I'd have to check with the Eversource electrical engineers as to how often those need to be replaced, but it is part of the system to help. Usually what happens is they do studies on the gas pipeline to know where additional corrosion protection is required. And this was an area that was identified as a protective measure for the gas pipeline itself. In terms of how often the anodes are replaced, I'm not sure. I'd have to ask Eversource.
Okay. I'm just curious, if they, like 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, we're gonna have to like revisit this again, or if there's like a way to.
I think it's longer than that. Yeah.
Once you like core it, there's a way to just kind of take them out and then not have a disturbance anymore. So I'm gonna have to Google this. This is pretty interesting stuff. So, but thanks. That's so. that's really the questions I had. Thanks.
Anyone else? Nikolai, do you have any comments?
Again, just standard stuff, standard
Okay.
utility stuff. So nothing. Becky will put together presentation and MBZA as well.
Yeah.
So we approve this with standard MBZA conditions then?
Yes, and Becky, those conditions are just notifying me when work is set to start and when you're finished.
Okay, and we could definitely use socks, it sounds like, is the preference from the commission, like a compost sock
Yes.
or,
Yep.
okay.
Thank
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you, Louis, on that. So can I get recommended approval for standard MBZA conditions for Haywood Street?
Well, I vote yes to recommend approval for standard MBZA with standard MBZA conditions.
Thank you. Louis?
Approve.
Nicole?
Approve.
Michael?
Approve.
And Roger votes to approve. Thank you, Becky.
thank you.
Thank you.
20 Sarland Circle. Is anyone here?
Yes, this is Joanne Rodriguez.
Hi. So
Hi,
can you give us a little description of what you want to do?
Yeah, I can give you an overview. The back of my property, there's the Charles River.
Yeah.
And I think one thing I was deficient in my application is kind of the markings of the 25-foot, the 50-foot, and the 100-foot, but I have since found a mortgage inspection plan. So when we get to that point, if we can kind of estimate, I will say the majority of my property is within the 100 feet, more so on the right side than the left. There's 12 pine trees. 9 of them are along the right-hand side of my property. 3 of them are in back and 1 fairly close to the river. Unfortunately, the one closest to the river has carpenter ants, and it has evidence that it's been struck by lightning a couple times. So it's not the healthiest of trees. Before I purchased the property, I believe that the house was vacant and a tree along the right side of my property fell on the neighbor's house. And then last winter, while I lived here, another tree fell on their house. And then today, or recently, I'm noticing that some of them near the street, which may just be outside the 100 feet, are starting to die, and all of the trees are within striking distance of my home and my neighbor's home. So I've had a number of people, 4 people come out and give me estimates, and whether this is true or not, I've been kind of told it's an all or nothing. They're about 60 foot high, all of them, except for the one closest to the street. It must have been cut for the wires, but they kind of all sway in the wind together. So they're like, you can't kind of pick and choose. Most of them are multi-stem. The one currently closest to my house and the neighbors actually has 4 trunks coming off of it. And there's a lot of dead wood. So it's not what I want to do at all, because that's part of the reason that I bought the house was the, the backyard and how it looked, but I don't foresee, it's kind of all or nothing. And we're at the point where a lot of them are concerning me in terms of the healthiness of them.
This is in your backyard?
Yeah, well, I can share the screen and show my map, which is so rudimentary compared to what we've seen tonight, but I do have it.
Better than what we have right now.
Okay.
Give us an idea.
Let me know when I'm sharing. I just sent the request.
So just a side note, Brigitte Lies, she has connectivity issues. She'll be back.
Okay.
So is it your kind of intent to turn make your backyard into a little more lawn? No?
No, it's not my intent at all. It's not what I
Oh.
want to do. It's not what I want to do for looks and aesthetics. It's not what I want to do monetarily, obviously. It's so expensive.
Yes,
Um,
a lot of
but
trees.
it's posing a danger, and the neighbors were great about the last time that the tree fell, but there's so much dead wood that comes off of it, and the limbs are heavy, and it seems like every time I go out there, it's kind of like there's a dead limb and the next one up is dead and the next one up is dead, and it's kind of working its way up, and it's concerning.
But you said there's 12 pine trees?
There's 12 altogether. Yeah. 3 of
And-
them are definitely within the 25.
Are those, no, is the 12. How many are in your backyard versus front yard?
Am I sharing screen yet? I think
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
I'm
am.
going to go to my very rudimentary plan, so bear with me.
Okay.
There you go.
That's
So
pretty good.
basically, that's nice of you to say. So all of the circles with X's are the tall pines. I want to say maybe this one is not actually 60 feet, like I said, because of the power lines, the electrical lines. So I think this cluster right here, maybe just outside. I'm going
I
to
didn't
flip
see
to,
a pointer, I'm sorry.
oh.
There you
I
go.
guess it's okay. It's just my mouse. I'm going to flip to a screen just for 1 second to kind of give you an idea. I had to deal with an easement, so the shape of the property is a little bit different. But so this side where most of the pine trees line is only 127 feet. I guess maybe you can answer this question. Does the line start like in the middle of the river? Because obviously it swells and it goes down. So I wasn't sure where to even start from.
I believe it's the middle of the river, but Bricolai could definitely
it's
correct me.
Yep, so it's not. It's the mean annual high water line, so it's technically the bank. So what's jurisdictional on this property is the bank, so that from that mean annual high water, that's also 200-foot riverfront area, and then you do have some bordering vegetated wetland, which also has a 100-foot buffer zone.
Yeah, so I think I'm all in there.
You are all in there. Yes, you definitely are.
All right, so now that we've determined that, we'll go back to the, so as I mentioned, these are the 12 pines. They're all along the side of the property. I have some pictures. This is the one that I was talking about, unfortunately, that has the carpenter ants in it and was struck by lightning. These two are together. If you looked at Google Earth or whatever, you would see no difference between, it would just be greenery, because obviously the canopy or whatever you want to call it covers all of this, but this is my best guesstimate as to where the trunks are. So that is the plan. There's more trees on my property than notated. They're just smaller. There's maples all along this side, and there's also smaller maples all behind these, which the hope would be that when, if I can remove these, then the maples would start to grow and at least, replace some of the trees. I can kind of go up to the pictures. So this is a view looking towards the Charles River. This is the one that has the carpenter ants and has evidence of being struck by lightning. These two are together and they're multi-stemmed, as you can see. This is just the evidence of the carpenter ants. And then this is looking up. I am not a tree expert, but this mark and this mark, I guess, are remnants of a lightning strike, supposedly. So I was concerned about that. I did take another picture. This is along the side of the house. So this is the cluster towards the street, and these are the two along the side. And as you can see, this one becomes a multi-stem very quickly, not that high off the ground, and the trunks are getting very large and in danger of falling.
And you're gonna leave all the stumps?
Yeah, well, now that I understand that I'm all, at first I was like, oh, I'll leave the stumps by the river. But now that I know that I'm completely within the zone, I would assume that, they all may have to stay. I might, I was thinking I could do at least the front ones, but obviously if that's not permitted, I won't.
I'm
And
just gonna pop in. So by leaving the stump, it really, the commission, it's the root ball. So like if it's in your existing lawn and you would like to request to have it ground flush with the rest of the
Okay.
topography, that's generally allowed.
Okay.
The more you leave behind, obviously, the better from a conservation standpoint, but it
Yep.
is your property. So
Okay. And
I
the one
might leave those
closest to
big
the,
ones right there, but those little bitty ones out front, you could probably chew those up and make yourself some lawn or garden, whatever.
And do you plan on planting anything back by the Charles where the other ones are going to come down to hold the bank in place?
Yeah, I certainly can look into, it's, when I bought it, it's a fixer-upper house and it's going much, much more slowly than I thought it would, but I definitely am interested in looking into like native species and kind of a sustainable bank and that kind of stuff. I haven't done much investigation, but I'm definitely open and willing to do that. Yes.
that's great. I can help you with that.
Okay, thanks.
Bricolai could give you some recommendations.
Oh,
That's
sure
good.
can.
I didn't realize when I bought the house that the Virginia creeper was just as bad as poison ivy. And I was like, oh, look at that. I'm fine. It doesn't have 3 leaves. I got the worst case of poison ivy.
Oh, no.
So anything that would overcome that, I'm willing to put back there.
Well,
Any other questions from the commission?
if I had the property, I'd sure cut them down. Those pines are going to end up on your house if you don't do
I
something about
know, I know.
Yeah. It was,
it. Well, leave as many stumps as you can and plant something down there. Get with Bricolai and plant something down by the Charles,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you'll be good.
All
Yeah.
right.
just, can you flip to the photo where the trees were near the river there, the Charles?
Sure.
Just want to check something
That
out.
was
I was trying to look it up on aerial, but
It's hard because you can't, it's all covering.
yeah, it's all covered and you have to like choose which one will get you there. Yeah, I think that one it looks like it's right, if not at the bottom of the bank there.
Yeah, it's at the top. I might have some other pictures, but I don't have them prepared. I want to say there's right now, because the river's so low,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
at least 8 feet like on a slope. Not
Oh.
straight, but like the slope is probably 8 to 10 feet right now because it's just so low.
So I'm
If there
thinking
were-
those are the closest ones to the river right now. those two.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
This one is
Okay.
very close. Like I said, it's the start in last winter, the water came up to about that tree.
Okay.
But right now, like I said, it's much, much further down. And then these two approximately are like maybe 10 to 12 feet closer to the house.
Okay. So I think if just for like a tree removal standpoint, just when they start looking at that, just disturbance or of the bank, just to kind of ensure they
Yeah.
don't shake the tree up, and then now you're causing something that's that's
Yeah,
not-
hopefully it'll be done with the crane parked out front. And then this one, all the tree companies I talked to, I mean, I'm thinking of leaving like at least 2 feet or something on this
Okay.
one because it's just so embedded towards the river.
Yeah. Okay.
Might I pop in for a second? So, there's actually have been a lot of individuals along the Charles that have called me, of trees, along the bank here. And Joanna, it is smart to leave as much, of the trunk there as possible.
Okay.
What you're likely going to see, especially how that tree is leaning, is that eventually, so that tree, when it's cut, it's not necessarily dead yet, right? It will
No,
start
correct.
to die. So it's going to release nutrients back into the soil. You're probably going to have some regen. You mentioned the maples popping up, which is likely to occur once you release the canopy.
Yeah.
But you may notice that root ball, as it does start to finally die, is going to pull away from your lawn.
Okay.
So at that time, whenever that is, what
Yeah.
I would suggest is calling the conservation department, and we can give you administrative approval to pack around the root ball with loam and seed it. Because if you
Okay.
get ice in between where that root ball is pulling away from the rest of the bank, it's
Yeah.
and push that rest of that root ball into the Charles.
Okay.
Which is why being proactive, do some plantings now.
Yeah. Okay.
So we can definitely work out species that aren't going to get as tall as an eastern white pine,
Yeah.
but can give you some benefit. You know, I don't know if you like to forage, if you want to have a little homestead, we could totally work on that. If what animals you like to see, we can totally tailor the type of plants so you get a benefit as well as protecting the Charles and the bank and your existing lawn and property.
Mhm.
That sounds wonderful.
So
Good.
Great. Can I have a recommendation to approve with conditions?
I'll give you a recommendation to approve the tree cutting at 20 Solon Circle.
Yeah,
Defer to commission with conditions and ultimate approval. I don't know. Am I saying that right?
I would suggest saying conditions as discussed.
Conditions as discussed.
that's great.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Second.
Richard, how do you vote?
I vote to approve it.
Louis?
Approve.
Nicole?
Approve.
Michael?
Approve.
Roger votes to approve as well. Thank you very much, Joanna.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
too.
Bye.
So I believe
St. Abbey's.
almost last
Mary's
is
Abbey.
Eagle Scout project for St. Mary's Abbey.
Yes. So we have a current scout on with us. Sorry to have kept you so long, Daniel, but hope you learned how much fun it is to be in conservation. So with that, if you wouldn't mind presenting your project to the rest of the commission.
Yeah, so my name is Daniel Damaris. I'm with Troop 131. So in Rentham, there's a convent of nuns, and they have trails that they walk. So unfortunately, one of those trails goes by a lake, and some beavers came in and built a dam right where the walking trail was. So they had to divert the walking trail into a wetland, and it's unsafe for the nuns to walk. So if I can share my screen, I can tell you. So my project will be to build a boardwalk, and it'll be 80 feet long and 4 feet wide. So here is the lake, and then right up here with where the red is marked will be where the boardwalk is. So here is a picture of where it's going to be out where it is. So it'll start where I'm standing taking the picture, and then it'll end right above that red line. So again, and this is some of the conditions that they have to walk through. So it's very muddy. There's a creek bed right over here, and then right by those rocks is where the bridge will end. And then that's just this is a better picture.
So it's 80 feet?
Yes.
You're going to do that by yourself?
Yeah, so I'll have scouts from my troop helping me as well.
That'd be good.
And how are you going to get above the water?
Yeah, so we're going to be putting in posts every 15 to 20 feet, and they'll be 1 to 2 feet above the water.
So you're going to be digging, obviously, these poles in, right?
Yes, that is correct.
And what kind of poles are you using?
Yeah, so we've been looking into 2 options. One is concrete, and then the next is helical piles. Unfortunately, the helical piles will about double the cost of this project. So if we do have to use concrete, we'll use a very minimal amount and try to use it conservatively.
You're going to dig a hole and pour concrete in it?
Yes. Yeah, so we'll put like something to keep its shape in, and then we'll pour concrete and then put wood beams in the concrete.
So, okay, you're gonna dig down and put a sonotube down and then buy yourself some bags of concrete and and mix it on site and put it in there.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we did talk about, sorry, Daniel, not to interrupt, being flexible with that 15 to 20 feet. So Daniel, could you go back 2 photos actually? Perfect. So you see where the aspect from where he's taking this photo now, and then you see these 2 logs down, the timbers, right? And so then you see this upland area, and then it dips down, and then you can skip 1 photo, please, Daniel, forward. Yep. So then, perfect. So then this is right where it dips down, and then you have, clearly this is still BVW, but you can see some micro topography. So right, below his camera, you see the cabbage, right? And then it comes back up and you see more sensitive fern. So there's a little bit of an upland or up gradient of the cabbage. And then you see where they have the planks, and he could likely make that span across. So not putting concrete in a waterway,
No.
channel, if you will.
No.
Continue, Daniel. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, so are there any other questions?
Oh, I think it's if it's a doable project. If you can start on one end and just kind of work your way across, build it as you go, then you can work off the end of your little bridge as you go across.
So Daniel, can you flip over to the map you had? I was gonna I think it was the first one. Yeah. So this is this area here. You said there was who's currently occupying this area?
Yeah, so the land is owned by Mount St. Mary's Abbey.
Okay.
And they have a guest house on this land that they have guests stay in.
And that's how they've been kind of like going from one side to another, just crossing this, and over time it could get pretty muddy. And there's no other, it's just that one way. Okay.
Yeah, so the nuns have over 600 feet of trails throughout the property.
Yeah.
So not 600 feet. They have many acres, and they have lots and lots of trails throughout the property that they like to walk. They pray and meditate and things like that. And so he's just looking to make it safer for the nuns to cross that part of their trail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent idea.
Yeah.
Danielle, getting supplies in and out of there, are we talking all manual labor, or you're not bringing machinery in there of any kind, are you?
No. So we'll use the trails. There's not a good road to get machines back there, so we'll pull the materials in by hand.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds like a great project.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
I like it. It's going to be a lot of hard work though, son.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. I've dug holes in the woods before.
You better get some big friends to hump those bags of concrete back in there.
I would say the only thing is when you go out there, just try to contain your buildup of bags and trash, and when you mix it, just make sure that you don't have a lot of spillage into some of these other the areas that are not going to be built up or constructed. So but that's really all my comment. I mean, yeah.
Anyone else with questions? Hearing none, can we have a motion to approve?
Project? Sorry. This is because it's an RDA, if you recall, you have to make a motion for a negative determination.
Oh, Richard's
So you
very
are
good
saying
at
it.
those.
Yep, exactly. It's the inverse, which is the positive.
So what do we say? We give you a motion
For a negative determination.
Correct. Yeah.
Make a negative determination for the Eagle Scout project at St. Mary's Abbey.
Sounds great. How do you vote, Richard?
I vote to approve it.
No, we vote for a negative determination.
I vote
Louis?
for negative determination.
There you go. Louis?
Vote for negative determination.
Nicole?
Negative
get used to this.
determination.
Michael?
Negative determination.
Negative determination for Roger as well. Thank you very much, Danielle.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Have a
Good job,
good night.
Daniel.
And good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, you ought to get some of your citizenship in the community knocked out from appearing before us today too.
Yeah.
That's true.
Great job.
Thank you. All right. Have a good night.
You
Bye,
too.
Daniel.
Bye.
So I believe the last thing on the agenda for tonight is 84 Populatic Street permit modification extensions. Is anyone here from 84 Prospect?
Hi, I'm Melissa Alvarado. I'm one of the owners at 84 Populatic. Hopefully, well, unfortunately, I'm not here for kind of an easy ask, but I guess I have a request to amend the permit for our order of conditions. So I will kind of review maybe my hope for today. I'm really, oh, hold on one second. I lost my screen. We bought the property last year, and we're interested in developing the outside space that we could to use for the accessing the pond, which is what our backyard abuts. And we purchased it knowing that there was an order of conditions. And we had worked something out in the mortgage, not the mortgage, but with the seller. And that was essentially that they would fix this problem. They would bring the property into compliance within 120 days, or there would be a small holdback. We would be entitled to a small amount of money to make those repairs or to bring it into compliance. The prior owner, I guess. Yeah, the builder of this property, we were under the impression that he was doing whatever he needed to get that done. He had come to the property in the fall of last year to like plant something. Turns out he really just threw down some lawn seed, raked some stuff around, maybe didn't plant anything significant. And we kind of let it go for a while thinking, you know, he's following up with it, whatever he needs to do, we'll just wait, it'll regrow. And that hasn't been the case. In May, we were thinking, you know, we want to come before the commission with an NOI to develop the land and to do some of that work. So we sought a home equity line of credit, and lo and behold, having an order of conditions on the property did not allow the lender to approve that home equity line of credit. So we have these plans to put in a boardwalk, to put in some natives, to get access safely to the water. But right now, we can't access the equity in our home to do that. So I reached out immediately to Bri Galai in May. It was a little funny at the time because I thought, you know, I'll just ask if we can get this condition approved really quick. And then I learned that there's a 2-year grow period, which I was never really informed of or aware of. And I feel like the prior owner himself didn't ever articulate that, because in what world would we have an agreement that allowed us to access, you know, that he would fix it in 120 days? Clearly not possible. It should have been more like 700 and so on. But in May, reached out to her, tried to figure out what we needed to do. And really it was that substantial planting. So I tried to plant about 10 plants on my own because I am not very good at recognizing the amount of space that I had to work with. So I planted 10 plants. It was not enough by any means. I then had a company come out and they said, this is great, but you probably need like 100 plants. So we contracted them to plant at the top of the slope. And I'm going to share my screen. to see, let's see. I can share this one. Oh, I'm sharing the wrong thing. Just a second. All right, so this is kind of an outline of the work that they came and they did. They planted over 90 native plants. I worked with Bricolage to make sure that these were good plants. You're seeing this, right, as I scroll?
Yes.
Okay, so there's the plant list, which was kind of approved, or, you know, we were confirmed that it was good plants, native. This is what the slope looks like before the plantings. So I've never seen it before this, but apparently they're like, I think from Bricolage's memory, like what she had said was that she could never see the slope before. Like the builder had kind of taken out everything. The only stuff that really grew back naturally was like sensitive plant and then some grass and lots of poison ivy. So I'm a good identifier of that now, thankfully. But we had the company come in and they planted all these plants and it looks fabulous. This was September. I did see in the notes that, you know, there's concern about agreeing to waive the 2-year requirement because of the drought that we are in. So I completely understand if this is not something you can approve, but my hope is that we could get we can come before you again with a plan to kind of revegetate the entire slope and make it safer, because right now, so that's again, just a different angle. Right now, the stairs, as you can see a little bit in this picture, they are uneven. They are really terrible. We'd like to be able to improve that. This one here, you can see access to the water and be able to put more native plants in there to get rid of. There are some invasive species coming in. I can't identify most of them, but I took out a lot of, what was it? Bittersweet, and then some big leafy stuff, and other things. The tree at the bottom here, if you can see my cursor, is covered in poison ivy. Would love to be able to clear that out and just plant better natives that will bring some birds and different things. So we aren't planning on doing any of that. We are aware that we need to get permission for all of it because it is well within that buffer zone. What I'm hoping is that there is some maybe willingness to waive the 2-year grow period for this part. And I think the condition was on this top part, which is where we did all this planting. And the one plant in this picture, I'm pretty proud of this, the flowering plant. I did that one myself and it's like thrived. So that one was planted in May and it like really grew. I'm very hopeful that it's gonna make it through the winter. But anyway, I will probably continue to ramble if I don't stop. So I'll pause and if you guys have any questions for me.
So you want this 2-year grow period alleviated so that you can tap the your home equity line? Is that what did I get that right?
Yes, primarily so that we can then put money into developing this. And when I say developing, I don't mean like removing anything. We would like to do something that maintains the aesthetic, the view. We want to be able to get to the pond with ease. Right now, there are cement steps that go down the embankment and metal poles everywhere. I don't know what they ever were used for, but it's quite an adventure when we're trying to go down there with the kayaks and our 4-year-old and my older mother, and it's a fun time. We end up in the water before we intend to. But yes, essentially, reducing the 2-year wait period allows us to get the home equity line of credit to then put money into hiring people that can talk to you guys much better than I can about this stuff and develop a plan to increase the natives on our property and get some pollinators in there and access the water safely.
So you want to improve not your house, but the access to the pond.
Yeah, the house was built brand new, so while it has enough issues, but our priority is just like we want to be able to to sit out there and enjoy it and access the water safely. And also like this, as I mentioned, like the slope, when I was on it trying to plant things, I do think there needs to be some sort of like reinforcement or engineering around how to make sure that additional like terraced gardens or something don't like cause like, I don't know if that makes sense, or what I'm trying to say is that like it feels like the stability of that slope needs some work. And I think that might have been on the notes from Bricolai's like feedback to the prior owner.
It sounds like you're asking us to alleviate the 2-year waiting period. But if we waive that 2-year waiting period and they stop growing because of being dry or just not being established enough, we've lost all our bargaining power, if you will, with you. And I can't see how, not that it has anything really to do with us, how the bank, in other words, what I understand you to say is the bank won't release anything until we waive the 2-year period, or we sign a completion of, a certificate of completion.
Yeah, it's the certificate of completion. So it's not a
Yeah.
clean title, and they wouldn't provide it because of that.
I'm surprised you were able to buy the house, because that must have been open as well.
Yeah, that was an issue. The biggest point of problem with that was that the mortgage lender, when we purchased it, thought that it was the order of occupancy. And they were like,
Right.
you can't buy this without an order of occupancy. But once we established that it was simply an order of conditions and it didn't have to do with the inhabitability of the property, then it was okay.
I mean, do any of the other commissioners have thoughts on this?
Well, I'm extremely reluctant to punish somebody for a 2-year. It doesn't seem like we should rain on this parade. That we should try to figure out some way to convince her bank or whatever, or do something to accommodate somebody who's trying to do the right thing.
I would agree with that, but on the other hand, if we don't hold one person accountable to that, the next person's going to ask for the same thing.
Well, let them ask. I mean, these are individual situations, We're not here to try to make life more miserable for somebody. We're trying to work something out. I don't know I haven't come with a brilliant suggestion yet, so
can you flip over to the one of the photos where the walkway is? Or
This one?
Yeah, that one there. I'm just taking a look at there. Thank you. So you said you wanted, this just because of the order of conditions hasn't been finalized, this is preventing you from getting a loan or equity loan to and you're looking to get that to develop or do some projects here on the backside to include the stairs, right? Yeah,
The stairs is like the safety piece for us.
Yeah.
My husband's idea of what we would do is like overlay it with like wood stairs going down, so you're not like removing any of it. You're just building on top of what's existing in terms of like how to make a minimal impact. I personally would love to remove them completely, but that's probably not in the budget either. And yeah, right now you can't really tell exactly, but they're all different like widths and like some are sloped down. And
would that be like your focus to get these, for safety, for like you said, for the safety, safetiness of your family to repair this? And I don't see handrails either, so but I can imagine if I'm not sure if you go down there during the winter time or
Yeah, I would say that is definitely the priority for the safety. So it's weird because on this side over here, that's like I guess a retaining wall because
Wall.
there's like a bench we have up top, but there's no railing there. And then here it like drops off kind of on both sides. And the stairs continue all the way down to just before those chairs.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if
So-
it's important to note, but we've lived in Franklin for 8 years. We lived off of Pond Street, and when we found this house, we were like, "This is amazing!" Just the view alone, like, sold us on it. And we like want to see the wildlife, all of the like we've seen bald eagles, we've seen hummingbirds, everything that like we just want to increase that. So we're eager to get like anything that Regal Eye recommends. My husband is on board with blueberry bushes. We planted a couple. Like we want to help the like that all the native creatures thrive there, all the turtles that come up our driveway.
Yeah. I think no, and definitely, it looks like a great view too, especially if you're coming from Pond Street and then go move into such a great view there. Definitely a nice selling point in this property, but it had its conditions as far as like, previous at least on my end, I think, just given the the plantings and the season, we're kind of like in the winter time where I think 2 years to do that, just to kind of wait on 2 years, seems like a long time. I'm not sure if the other commissioners feel like maybe reducing that requirement, not 2 years, but maybe less than that. Still looking to just like,
Well, maybe that's, yeah.
just reducing that. We do have, our bylaws and how we do practices here for the town, but we also like take out other considerations as well. So just looking at maybe just reducing that condition.
So the commission has in the past, there is historical precedent set for 1 year of monitoring. So it's one year of growing season. So that would put you, Alyssa, into fall of 2025 instead, to request a COC. And then I want you to continue having your discussion because I think it's a worthwhile discussion. But I did want to let the commissioners note that to alleviate any expenditures on Alyssa's part, you're not necessarily voting on a permit amendment tonight because this is filed with DEP. So to actually have a permit amendment, we would have to reopen, or not reopen, but we would have to tag it onto a DEP number. So I had her just draft a letter to present. So you are giving her feedback if you think she should file now or later. But you're not necessarily voting, just preemptively, so I don't have to interrupt you later.
So that would, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
How do you feel about waiting till fall of 2025, Alyssa?
So I will be honest, my interpretation of the 2 year grow period was in May, counted as like the spring started it, and I did plant starting then. So my hope would have been like by next June, July, that would count as 2 grow periods. And I thought that that's how it was described to me, but maybe that was just my optimistic hope. But honestly, February of 2025, not February, sorry, fall of 2025 is like essentially a year from now. So I think that's fine. We had hoped really to, well, I guess I had hoped that this was the one grow season from May to now, that it would be eligible to be voted on sooner.
So typically restoration is when it's
Mm.
complete, when the project is completed. So this is a completed restoration, right? Whether it was seed or bare root plants. You know, if you're amenable to July, I would kick it out 1 month and just say at the beginning of September she comes back. So then it's not quite the autumnal equinox. It's not quite into November, but it does push through the hot months of August. So that we know at least through one viable three months of the hottest weather, these plants are going to succeed. If they can succeed through winter and they can succeed through that, they're likely viable into the future.
Sure. Sounds like a compromise. Partly.
So I will fill the paperwork out next August.
Yep,
per se.
that's correct.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you,
that's
guys.
fine. Yep.
In the meantime, plan.
Did you say plan or plant?
Plan.
Plan.
Figure out what you're gonna do. Get some plans together and get all your ducks in a row so that you're ready to go.
Yes, but that problem is it's $20,000 to hire a company to come up with plans and draw all the nice maps. But I think tonight I have some hope that I can draw a visual
There
and
you go.
mark
You know
out
what
where
you-
I want to plant and what I want to plant, right? That's
You
possible.
know what you want to do. You can
Yeah.
you can have it all figured out. You got to be able to tell that whoever you're going to have design it, you got to tell them what you want.
Yep. All right, thank you.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Bricolai, we want to word something here. We just want to extend it.
There's nothing, neither. So
Okay.
she was just coming to you with a letter, and that was
Feedback.
compromise, right? Nobody's happy. That's what Jamie says. A compromise is when nobody's happy. So
Right. But everybody gets a little bit.
I guess, or yeah, sure. Sorry, Alyssa. Thank you. Semantics and rules, and it's awful. But you know, you could always hook up with the native plant trust deals, and they'll survive in pots until you're ready to move forward.
Yeah, I do think that's possible. I think my husband is more capable at planning these things out than I am. So together we can come up with something and keep it lower.
There's lots of things you can do before you have to jump in with both feet.
Yep.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Certificates of compliance. Yeah. 5 Black Road.
Well, we'll blow through these. 5 Chilmark Road, I believe someone's online, from the property. It is a historic order of conditions. There are no violations.
Is anyone
Yes, hi,
online?
Jim
for-
Harmon. I am on the line.
Thank you. So recommend approval, Breaker? Fly?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have to make a motion to approve that?
Yes.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the certificate of compliance for Chilmark Road.
Second.
Richard, how do you vote?
I vote to approve.
Louis?
Of course.
Approve.
Nicole?
Approve.
Michael?
Approve.
Roger votes to approve. Thank you. 8 Squibnocket Road. Is anyone online from 8 Squibnocket? Break a line?
I guess not, but that's okay. Same sentiment applies. Historic order of conditions, no violation, recommend approval.
Richard?
I recommend we approve the certificate of compliance for 8 Squibnocket Road.
Thank you. Louis?
Second.
Approve.
And Nicole?
Approve.
Michael?
Approve.
Roger votes to approve. Here we go, Richard.
There we go. Union Street just lives on.
Well, it looks like there's been a little movement here. Now we got a new
New
owner.
property owner.
That's right.
So are we're cautiously optimistic that this is dead pretty soon?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna take him a couple months to refile with DEP. But otherwise, yeah, they're making moves on that. So the new owner is, give me 1 second. I have gotten so many emails since
It's the same
11:30.
person that owned the old mill by Fisher Street.
It's
that
RMB
kind of-
Realty Trust. Yep.
Yeah.
Frederick Kaplan.
Yeah.
So that's who it'll go to now. So I'd recommend another 30-day extension to him.
All right. I make a motion that we extend for 30 days, the violation and enforcement for 305 Union Street.
Second.
Vote to extend.
Louis,
Extend.
Nicole,
Extend.
Roger votes to extend, and Michael, I'm sorry.
Extend.
Yeah. Thank you. So now we come to Prospect Street.
We're going to court, huh?
He has filed a request with the Rentham District Court. Yes. So I defer to the commission on it, as I have been.
To extend it, correct?
Extend or drop, yeah.
This is ridiculous. You're spending more money to do this than it would be to fix the problem.
Well, it is a recorded session, so I believe we should keep our feelings to ourselves and just vote to extend it.
Well, we're not going to drop it, not unless, yeah. I'll give you a motion to extend the violation and enforcement for Prospect Street.
Richard, you vote to approve the extension, correct?
Sure.
Louis,
Extend.
Nicole,
Extend.
Michael,
Extend.
Roger votes to extend. Last two things, vote to, has everyone read the minutes for October 17th? If so, we can vote to approve them.
Yeah. I'll
Yes.
vote to approve.
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 Michael, approve, and Roger votes to approve. October 30th,
Approve.
Louis,
Approve.
Approve.
Nicole, Michael,
Approve.
Roger approves. Discussion items. Anyone?
Yes, I actually have, well, I have two, or not discussion items, I have comments, apologies. Would you like me to move forward with those comments?
Please.
Perfect. All right. So I have two. One, since we are remote, you will need to come in next week to sign documents. Please wait for my email. I will email you when those are ready to sign. As we have stated tonight, our next meeting is on December 12th. So we have a month off. Yay. So exciting. So happy holidays, everybody. And then this is a big one. I've included in your Google Drive an email chain, my comments on the master plan and the draft master plan. So the master plan final draft is out for public comment. That ends after actually I think on December 2nd, Monday, December 2nd. I bring this to your attention as a board with a concern of mine. So there's a goal in the master plan. It's under OSR 5.4. So if you open up the big, draft master plan document, you could search for OSR 5.4 and it'll bring you right to that goal. You can also see I have a pretty, it's not lengthy by any means, but it's longer than my other comments in the spreadsheet discussing OSR 5.4 and the email chain in your Google Drive discussing OSR 5.4. So I don't know if any of you noticed that my laptop died in the middle of our MBZA. So I lost my tab here online, but I can pull it up real quick and share my screen, unless you all have that in front of you already.
Well, I also got it up if you, I think, is it the master?
Yeah, I'm at it now.
Okay.
Thank you. There we go. And perfect. Okay. We all see my spreadsheet here. So the goal for OSR 5.4 as it currently stands, oh my gosh, I have all of my Zoom controls on here. There we go. And I need to minimize you guys. There we go. All right. So as this goal sits right now in the master plan, it has been revised, but it puts my department, it used to have the commission on there as well, which I did ask to be removed, to investigate potential partnerships with local nonprofit and educational organizations. So in my comments, I did mention that the Conservation Commission cannot partner with any nonprofit or business organizations due to the nature of their regulatory authority. Nonprofits and businesses can support and donate to the commission and their funds on their own accord, but the commission cannot ethically utilize their position to create financial relationships or source income. The commission needs to maintain its status as an unbiased regulatory authority, remove CC from responsibility column. So they did remove the commission, the subcommittee for open space and cultural natural resources. But they felt very strongly of keeping conservation department in there as a responsible party. What I'm asking the Conservation Commission to do, one, I know I sent you an email. I think you should read the draft. I think you should provide public comment if you want. But my department nor the commission can really be making partnerships with local nonprofits. We can definitely make relationships with educational organizations such as Franklin Public School System or Tri-County. For the record, I did not take on any interns with Tri-County while they were permitting in front of us for an ethical reason. I likely will not until their order of conditions is closed out. But this is against our ethics, that all the ethics that we have to sign and take every year. It puts the department and by proxy, the commission in a very tight spot. For example, I'll mention one local nonprofit completely in upland, not even near a wetland, but the Franklin Food Pantry, right? Wonderful organization. They do a lot for the community. But if the commission or my department were to create a relationship with them, and then heaven forbid there is a violation, and then what happens? It's very plausible then that the food pantry, they wouldn't do this, no disrespect to the food pantry, but then would say, hey, we have a business relationship with you. Why are you giving us a violation? So the Conservation Department and the Conservation Commission are a regulatory authority. Unfortunately, that does put us in the spot where we have to be that unbiased decision-making body. But that makes it fair for everybody. If it is, for example, a land trust that holds a conservation restriction for a conservation area, that is a different setup. That is a different different sort of relationship, and that is protected under CPA funds or CPC, anyways. That is Mass General Law. So I professionally believe it is an unobtainable goal and an unobtainable metric. So what I am asking for, and I have spoken to Chair Livingstone about this, is writing a letter to the master plan committee and ultimately the planning board who has to approve this, respectfully asking that this goal be removed because it does go against the ethics of the department and the commission. I understand why it was put in there. The commission and my department, I try very hard to do community outreach. I try very hard to make these relationships, but they are within the bounds of what is allowed ethically and legally.
Okay.
I cannot and will not source relationships with people that may need to come in front of us for permitting. Other than the people that I have to work with, like DPW. I mean, I can't get away from that other than not reviewing their projects.
Right.
Yeah. So like for like MAC, that wouldn't be, would that also include MAC?
No, so I would not consider them a local nonprofit.
Okay, local.
They're-
Okay. They're,
Yep.
they're-
So I'm thinking within internal to Franklin as far as a local nonprofit.
just like you said, the food pantry or something else that there's
Correct.
they have it.
Correct.
Somebody is liable to come before us with some instance of regulatory approval, then we'd be in trouble.
Yes,
Right.
and MAC is set up to support Conservation Commission, so it's also it's a different relationship versus any local nonprofit in town that may or may not have anything to do with conservation.
It has to be in Franklin because outside of Franklin, we have no authority.
Exactly.
So it's just confined to our happy little town.
So are we concerned with financial relationships or all relationships?
When I read, so yes, financial relationships, but I also read any sort of collaboration. Like for example, for the events that you have in spring and sometimes fall, the commission cannot go up to Starbucks and say, hey, Starbucks, can you donate 6 jugs of coffee? Because now you're soliciting assistance from as a regulating authority. It is viewed as the man getting on the little guy, right? You can buy things. You can absolutely buy things from other companies in town. That's why we get grants. If we get, like for the B program, I definitely partnered, quote unquote, with local businesses. We had our graduation at Fairmont, but I paid for that with a grant that was actually from the state. The state handled direct funds to everybody, so it never came through my office.
But haven't we done that before when we get these things down at, we go out and say, well, geez, we get some donuts and some coffee and bring them
Yep,
on.
and you pay for it. Exactly. So,
Right. Did we
yeah.
pay for it? Okay, good.
Yes, they're all paid for it.
But like if we have a fall or a spring event and we want to bring in somebody like the Charles River Watershed Association or the Metacomet Land Trust to put a table, that's okay?
Yep. So that's again a different relationship. So Charles River Watershed, they are the watershed association of which we are a part of as a town. And I am the town's assigned staff liaison with Charles River Watershed. So that is a maybe I'll change it to a professional relationship. Metacomet Land Trust is would be a professional relationship because of the conservation areas like Maple Hill or Schmitz Farm, which they may hold a conservation restriction on.
So we're basically not changing anything about the way we do. We're just publishing it.
Well, no, my concern is that the goal is non-specific. And because it's non-specific, it puts us in it puts us in an ethical conundrum of meeting that metric.
Okay.
I would rather it be removed and us continue to do what we have been doing, because that is the expectation, that we make professional relationships. Professional relationships being conservation with MAC, with Charles River Watershed Association, with that. We're not creating business relationships or soliciting from local nonprofits and educational institutions. I read that as, without it being non-specific, as like going to daycares. We can't do that. We permit for daycares as long as they're in jurisdiction.
Okay.
Yep. So, you're saying, so, aside from the Conservation Commission, is there like other commissions out there that would also like take the same verbiage, or basically like, are we the only ones that have this on the draft?
We're the only board or commission or committee that has this requirement.
Okay.
But again, they removed the Conservation Commission, but added my department. And I'm
Oh.
sure you can feel how frustrated or hear how frustrated I am about that. But I take my ethics very strongly, and I don't appreciate anything otherwise, unfortunately.
Okay.
So are you asking us to that one letter written and then all of us sign it, or did you want each of us write our own?
An official letter from the conservation. I'm asking for your support for my department, essentially, is what I'm asking for. So it'd be one letter from the commission.
I'm agreeing. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
I don't want to sway you. I do want to put that, like, just because I'm passionate, I know I'm passionate. I want you guys to follow your own ethics.
Okay.
But
I mean, I see.
I'm still in favor.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's no, I think I'm interpreting what you're saying, and yeah,
I
I'm
would
tracking.
agree, yeah. So Jeff's gonna write something up and sign it for the commission?
I can check back with him. He's indisposed at this point. So why don't I circle back with him early next week, probably on a Monday or a Tuesday. And then if he's unable to, then I'll go down to Mark. And then how about I go to Roger, and I'll just go down the list like we've been doing. And Roger, because you've been interim chair at this point.
Okay.
Does that work for the commission? And then because we don't meet until December 12th, unfortunately, I'm assuming this letter will just take everything that we have to discuss tonight at this point.
Then you said it, looking for comments early December or the last.
Yeah, December 2nd, I believe.
Yes, it was December 2nd.
Okay.
And by no means, I mean, the master plan has done great work. There are a lot of other things in the master plan that are great and leave nothing to be desired. This is just one that I really foresee issues in the future with the conservation department and the commission.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is all. That's all I have. And this was a late meeting, so I'm glad we're all home and we don't have to drive.
This is true.
It's often.
Does anybody have anything else?
God, no.
Are we in person next time?
Yes, we will be. And then Michael, I didn't get to respond to your email, but the reason why we were remote today is because the
Master plan.
police subcommittee meeting was meeting in chambers, and then master plan needed to have their final public hearing. So I said, okay, you can have the training room. We'll meet up remotely. And then Jeff told me that Jamie needs to get us pizza for kicking us out of chambers. And I told Jamie that the Conservation Commission doesn't ask for much. We just ask for pizza. So and I reminded him again on Wednesday. So I'm still waiting for that pizza.
Better be good pizza.
It better be good pizza. Yeah, exactly.
from the Rome.
Yeah.
Take it home from the Rome. Okay,
right.
so if there's nothing further, can we adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
All in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Good night, Nicole.
Good night.
Great
Bye,
job,
everybody.
Roger. Great job, Roger.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
good job.
Keep